and welcome back to the Brothers Grimm Dark. Today we're going to be looking at Codex Space Marines, one of the first two codexes to drop so far for 10th edition, and we're going to have a deep dive into some of the detachments here and see what we make of them. Let's dive in. So first of all, we've got a nice little contents page and some lore. Ooh, Genesis of Demigods. Space Marines are the Emperor's will made manifest. They are his angels of death, descending onto the battlefield from mighty warships to cleanse the foes of mankind from the face of the galaxy. For 10,000 years, the Space Marine chapters have been humanity's shield and sword in the face of the horrors that beset it. Never once have they faltered, and never in the future shall they. Not entirely sure I completely agree with all that, given what happened to a bunch of the founding Space Marine chapters, but you get a nice little bit of lore at the start there. And then lots more lore, battlefield rules here, Brothers of War, chapter planets, lovely artwork going along with it all, of course. Yeah, some all the different veterans of the first company. So I think it's about 70 pages of nice lore you get off the bat. Again, and then you get a little bit of individual chapters on their history and what they're all about, just to get those creative juices flowing for which chapter you might be interested in doing. Some Death Watch there as well. Example successor chapters. And that takes you up to, okay, yeah, the showcase. It's 67 pages of lore there. And then we've got really nice showcase, as always with codexes, of the heavy metal teams, renditions of various units. And then, yeah, you've got Dark Angels, Blood Angels here, Space Wolves, Black Templars, Imperial Fists. Love an Imperial Fist. Big fan of yellow, am I? Iron Hands, Salamanders, White Scars, what are they called? Raven Wing, and yes, an army shot, battlefield shot of Ultramarines, of course. Okay, then we get to some of the rules. We got Combat Patrol here, and of course, Combat Patrol you get Librarian Tantus, Terminator Squad, Captain Octavius, and 5 Furnace Marines as well. A little Ultramarines painting guide, that's something you didn't see in codexes of old, so it's maybe a useful thing for some people to have in there. And then you've got the specific rules for Combat Patrol in there, because it's slightly different than bigger scale games. Here we go. Forces of the Adeptus Astartes. Yeah, okay, so detachments, enhancements, stratagems. Oath of Moment has slightly changed, so if your army is Adeptus Astartes, if your army faction is Adeptus Astartes, at the start of your command phase, select one unit from your opponent's army until the start of your next command phase. That enemy unit is the target of Oaths of Moment. Each time a model with this ability makes an attack against your Oaths of Momented target, you can reroll the hit roll. So it's just reroll hit rolls now, not reroll hit rolls and wound rolls. If an Adeptus Astarte, yeah, so if you've got a specific character, basically, that's basically saying you can't have a specific character from a different chapter. All simple stuff there. Okay, Gladius Task Force. This is the one we had before, so it's obviously slightly changed because of how doctrines have changed. Sorry, not how doctrines have changed, how also moment have changed. So this is still the Doctrina one, the Ultramarines flavoured one, I guess you would say. So the Combat Doctrine. At the start of your command phase, you can select one of the combat doctrines listed below. Until the start of your next command phase, that combat doctrine is active and its effects apply to all Adeptus Astartes units from your army. You can only select each combat doctrine once per battle. So Devastator Doctrine, I believe, is still the same, and you're eligible to shoot in the turn which you advanced. Tactical Doctrine, a unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in the turn at which it fell back. It's a handy one in a pinch. And Assault Doctrine, you're eligible to declare a charge in a turn which you advanced. All very useful there. Then you've got your enhancements that you can stick on your characters. So you've got Artificer Armor, gives you a 2-up save and a 5-up feel no pain. It's a nice classic one. Honor Veriment, which is the one we usually have been sticking on Tillian, which is add +1 attacks and strength characteristics to the bearer's weapons. While the bearer is under the effects of the Assault Doctrine, add 2 to his attacks and 2 to his strength instead. So it can really get him beefy, especially if that captain decides to call Finest Hour. I think that's going to put him up to 11 attacks if he happens to be in the Assault Doctrine at probably at least strength 7 if he's got the sword, potentially more. So yeah, that can turn him into a real blender for a turn. And of course, buffs him up in general anyway, so a nice one that. Adept of the Codex, captain model only. At the start of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, instead of selecting a combat doctrine to be active for your army, you can select the tactical doctrine. If you do, until the start of your next command phase, that combat doctrine is active for the bearer's unit only, even if you have already selected that doctrine earlier in game. Okay, so it basically gives you the tactical doctrine twice for your captain's unit, which can be nice in a pinch, especially towards the end game when he might be one of your only units left, because you've got to be careful that you don't get to select any other doctrine, so you won't be buffing up the rest of your army with a doctrine when you use that. But it could be useful in your captain if you envisage him getting stuck into combat, wanting to fall out and charge in again. Depends how you want to play, but that could be a handy one. And then Fire Discipline. Adept is a starter's model only. While the bearer is leading the unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have sustained hits 1, which is a very useful ability. In addition, while the bearer's unit is under the effects of the Devastator Doctrine, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack successful, unmodified hit roll with 5+ scores a critical hit. Okay, so you're getting those sustained hits on a 5. So that can be really good for early in game, or whenever you decide to use the Devastator Doctrine. You can turn even just a heavy intercessor squad into really quite a decent firepower output. Lastly for this, we've got our stratagem. So Armor of Contempt, we all know and love Armor of Contempt. It's just reduced AP by 1, a classic for 1 CP. Can really help keep a unit around. Only in death does duty end. 2 CP, that is the fight on death one. And you don't have to roll for that, you just automatically get to fight on death, which is very handy in a pinch. Honor the Chapter. You get Lance on your melee weapons. So on the turn you charge, you get an extra +1 to wound rolls, which is very good. And if you're in the Assault Doctrine, you also improve the AP by 1 as well. So that can really turn a unit into a big powerhouse, that one, very strong. Then we've got Adaptive Strategy. What's that? Select the Devastator Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, or Assault Doctrine. Until the start of your next command phase, that doctrine is active for that unit instead. Okay, so 1 unit from your army, you can stick a different doctrine on, essentially, which is nice in a pinch if you've got a unit that's in combat that you want to be able to fall out. You want the tactical doctrine on them, for example, whereas the rest of your unit, rest of your army, you're wanting to have Assault Doctrine on in advance and charge on. So it just gives you a bit more tactical flexibility in a pinch for 1 CP. It's not bad. Storm of Fire. 1 adept is a starter's unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped with models that unit have ignores cover ability. If that unit is under the effects of the Devastator Doctrine, until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration of that attack by 1. Okay, so that one paired with Fire Discipline could be very good. So if you're in the Devastator Doctrine, you're going to be getting sustained hits on a 5+ for that unit, and you're also going to be getting ignores cover and improving the AP by 1. That could be very, very good. In a pinch, you're going to be able to advance and still shoot with that unit, so you get an eye onto what you want to be shooting at. You're going to be getting sustained hits on a 5+, and on your bolters, you're going to be, depending on which unit you have that on, probably AP -2 on your bolters with ignores cover, so they can really shred through something that thought it was going to be safe in cover, but no longer is. Even your regular intercessors, that's going to turn them into something quite meaty. You have to have a character with Fire Discipline in there, but that could be quite good. Lastly, we have tactical squads. In your opponent's movement phase, just after the enemy unit ends a normal move, advance or fall back, one Adeptus starts infantry or one Adeptus started mounted model from your army that is within 9 inches of that enemy unit. That unit can make a normal move up to d6 or a normal move up to 6 if it is under the effects of the tactical doctrine. Okay, that's also good. Really makes your bikers or infantry hard to tie down. You can get into where you want them to be to get those shots off, then pull away from your opponent. I like that a lot. I like things that make your army just a little bit slippery for your opponent to get to grips with, and that's a good example of that. So for me, I still think the Honor Vehement is this. Depends what you want to do. I do think Fire Discipline could be very good on a unit as well, but just making your character into a combat beast, I like that a lot. 11 attacks on a captain, surrounded by some blade guards. You stick Honor the Chapter on them to give them lance and probably an extra arm AP on their weapons, get all their swords to AP3. They're going to go through something because they're going to be wounded most infantry on 2s, or the +1 to wound means they could go up against a vehicle. So that's my pick from there. I think, yeah, still sticking a captain in a unit of blade guard with the Honor Vehement on them, Honor the Chapter, really just go after high priority target. I think that's very good, and probably in the Assault Doctrine as well. So yeah, you get the benefit of the extra AP. So that's my pick from the Gladius Task Force. Next we have the Anvil Siege Force. So these have replaced tactical doctrines with Shield of the Imperium. Ranged weapons equipped by Adeptus Astartes models from your army have the Heavy ability. If such a weapon already had this ability, each time attack is made with that weapon, if the attacking model unit remains stationary, this turn add 1 to the wound roll. So it's essentially lance if you stay still, which is, yeah, very good at taking down tough infantry or just mowing down light stuff. Or it means your bolters can actually go after bigger stuff as well, because you're minimum you're going to be wounding anything on 5s as long as you stay still. That seems strong to me off the bat. Very fits in with the Imperial Fists kind of style, and yeah, as we see here, we've got Imperial Fists in the Gravis, and that's obviously kind of what this is targeted at. So right off the bat, we have Gravis model only for the enhancements. The first time the bearer is destroyed, roll d6 at the end of the phase. On 2+, set the bearer back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of enemy units with full wounds remaining. Oh. How many wounds has the Gravis captain got? I have a feeling he's a lot off the bat anyway. Gravis captain, 6 wounds. And toughness 6. And you finally get through him and boom, on 2+, he's back. Yeah, that's good. Fleet Commander, Captain model only. Once per battle at the start of your shooting phase, you can select 1 point on the battlefield and place a marker on that point. At the start of your next shooting phase, place another marker on the battlefield within 12 inches of the center of the first marker, then draw a straight line between the center of each of these markers. Roll 1d6 for each unit that line passes over or through. On a 3+, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, then both markers are removed. Okay, so they've tried doing this for several editions, this sort of thing, and it's always been kind of an easy thing to avoid. This gives you a bit more flexibility with it, I guess, in that you put 1 marker down in 1 turn, and then the next turn you get to put the second marker down, rather than just drawing a straight line on the battlefield that your opponent either gambles, either says, right, I really need to go through this, and takes the hit, or they try skirt round. This gives you a bit more flexibility that you could go, okay, here it is, and you've gone this way, so I'm going to put it here, and going right through that unit, or you've gone this way. So it gives you a bit more flexibility there, but I still don't love that sort of rule. It might be okay, it might be good, but it's not one that I would immediately go to. Stoic Defender. Adept is a starter's model only. While the bearer is leading unit, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 6-up ability while they're within range of an objective marker you control. And while that unit is battle shocked, have its objective control value rather than changing it to 0. It's okay. 6-up Feel No Pain can be really good some games, and in another game it might just never come up. Yeah, and the objective secures may be okay. If you've got a unit that's going right into the thick of it, maybe. It's going to be hard to chew through anyway, maybe on some aggressors that would be good. Don't know. Not completely sold on that one. The Indomitable Fury is still the one that stands out so far for me. Architect of War. Adept is a starter's model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models have the Ignores Cover ability. Yeah, that could be really good actually, given with the detachment rule as well. If you're just staying still, mowing stuff down from afar, and your opponent's trying to use the terrain to the best of their ability as they go across the battlefield, it just means that you're going to be nullifying that with that unit. It's okay. Still think Indomitable Fury, maybe it's just my playing style, that seems the most fun to me anyway, and quite good potentially too. Armour of Contempt. Yep, we've been through that, we know what that is, just reducing AP essentially. Rigid Discipline. At the end of the fight phase, one adept is a starter's model from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units. Your unit can immediately make a fallback move up to 6 inches. Restrictions. When making this move, your unit must end the move either wholly within your deployment zone or within range of objective marker. Okay. So potentially very good, but you need to plan around that. If you want to engage with your opponent knowing that you're going to want to pull back, you need to be sure that you can make it within range of either your deployment zone or an objective marker. But very good in a pinch, because it essentially means that you can go back in next turn because you're doing it at the end of the fight phase. So potential there. Not one step backwards. In your command phase, one adept is starter's infantry model from your army within range of an objective marker. Until the end of the turn, double the objective control characteristics of models in that unit, but it must remain stationary. That's kind of what you want to be doing anyway. Yeah, that's one of those ones that could just win you a game. Is you get into turn 4, turn 5, not a lot of units on the board, you got something out in the open, your opponent's going to try kill it, you're probably in Gravis armor or potentially in Gravis armor, or your Dreadnought or whatever. Yeah, that's the one that can just get you over that line to victory. So a good stratagem there. And again, once it revolves around objective markers, which seems to be the way this detachment is leading in. No threat too great. This one is 2 CP, although the first 3 have all been 1. One adept is doing the shooting phase. One adept is starting model from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model from your unit makes a ranged attack that targets a monster or vehicle, you can reroll the wound roll. Oof. So if you've stayed still, you already know that minimum you're wounding them on 4s with your bolters, 5s with your bolters. Stick that on it, something that you're re-rolling. And if you've remained, yeah, if you've got, you could have Ignores Cover on there. Yeah, that's potentially good. Still only AP -1 a lot of the time on your bolters, and most vehicles or monsters have now gone up to 2-up save in the game. Yeah, 2 CP seems like a lot from that for me. Depends what you put on. Doesn't have to be infantry. So yeah, maybe that's good on it. On like a gladiator lancer or gladiator valiant. If you really want to try just bring down that monster. Yeah, I could see that. Or even a gladiator reaper actually, because that's strength 6. So you're going to be wounding most vehicles Most vehicles and monsters on a 4+ with that if you remain stationary anyway. And you're fishing for those 6s with the devastating wounds. So maybe, yeah, I'm not sure there's an infantry unit that's going to be amazing on, but maybe a vehicle. Yeah, because eradicators already have all those rerolls built in, so you just don't need it on them. Battle drill recall. In your shooting phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the same hits 1 ability. If you remain stationary, if you remain stationary its turn, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, successful unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. Okay, so that's kind of similar to the Gladius task force, you just got it in a stratagem here. Yeah, I think sustained hits on 5+ is good if you've got enough shots going in. Maybe aggressors with the Boltstorm gauntlets is a target for that stratagem. Yeah, potentially good there. Your opponent's shooting phase. Just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. Target one Adeptus Astartes unit that had 1 or more models destroyed or resolve that enemy's attacks. Effects. Your unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but must target only that enemy unit. Okay, so you just shoot back for 2 CP. Yeah. You have to have lost the model, so you're going to be below your full capacity, but that could be very good on something like aggressors. Because you're going to be rerolling your hits and rerolling your wounds. Even if you've got 2 of them left, you could still do 12 wounds on a monster or something. Yeah, that's good. For me, in this Indomitable Fury, that seems very good on a captain, a Gravis captain, in a unit of 6 aggressors, going deep into your opponent's, deep into the center of the boards, just make themselves really difficult to get through. You've got that not one step backwards, you've got that rigid discipline stratagem, so you can go and claim after a combat phase if you get charged, because you're slow, so you might not be able to get that charge off, so you might get charged. Make sure you're within 6 inches of objective marker or your deployment zone. You can fall back, and yeah, up to 6 inches. Then you get to charge back in, shoot at them, charge back in. That seems very good. And Hail of Vengeance, that seems like a very good stratagem to me as well. Okay, Ironstorm Spearhead. This is one of the ones I've run so far. I took the Taurians out just because it seemed the most fun to me out of the books. This is what I went with, and the detachment ability for this is Armoured Wrath, which means you get to reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and 1 damage roll for every unit in your army, which is very strong, as we've seen with Eldari. It's a very, very strong ability. Yeah. It's supposed to be themed around dreadnoughts, this, so it's buffing up your individual models like a dreadnought, but even just on regular units, that's very good. Then we've got Target Augury Web. Tech Marine model only, while a friendly Adeptus Astartes vehicle model within 6 inches of the bearer, you get lethal hits. Yeah, very good on something like a Gladiator Reaper, that. You've just got that hanging around the Tech Marine, you've got all those shots that you're rolling, lethal hits on that, very strong. Or even a Redemptor with the Gatling, potentially very good. The Flesh is weak. The bearer has a 4+ Feel No Pain ability. Yeah, potentially very annoying. It's not a huge force multiplier, but it could be very annoying just having a character that's very difficult to deal with. Adept of the Omnissiah. Tech Marine model only, once per battle round, when a saving throw is failed for a friendly Adeptus Astartes vehicle, within 6 inches, reduce it to 0. That's the one I went with. Very, very powerful. Especially if you're coming up against like Tau or Eldar that can just really rack up a big damage hit. You can just go, no. Every battle round, you just go, no, nope. So very, very strong that for keeping a high priority vehicle alive. Master of Machine War. Adeptus Astartes model only. While a friendly Adeptus Astartes vehicle unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, that vehicle is eligible to shoot even in a turn at which it fell back. Hopefully it's not one you want. Yeah. It's not really one I want to build a force around, because I feel like if that's happening, something's already gone wrong. It could be very useful if you know that you're just something's going to get into contact with you, but yeah, Adept of the Omnissiah and Target Augury Web seem the best two picks for me out there. But let me know if you disagree, but those are the two that stand out for me. Unbowed Conviction. In your command phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that is below starting strength. Until the end of the turn, your unit can ignore any and all modifiers to characteristics and or to any roll or test made for it, excluding modifiers to saving throws. Yeah, that's quite good. It lasts a long time. It lasts your whole turn, so you can, if you've got minuses to charge, if you've got minuses to hit or wound, yeah, could be very useful for 1 CP. I didn't actually end up using that one, but that could be good. Armor of Contempt, as we've seen before, running theme, everybody's got that. Mercy as weakness. In your shooting phase or fight phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is being selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit below starting strength, you have sustained hits 1. When making such an attack, if the attacking model is a vehicle, you score a critical hit on a 5+. Yeah, so you're getting, once again, you've got that ability to get sustained hits on a 5+ in one of the detachments. All 3 have had that so far. So yeah, that's very good and very useful. You just, especially on something that's going to be rolling a lot of dice, like a Gladiator Reaper, yeah, got a lot of chances to get those sustained hits there. Vengeful Animus. This is one of the ones I used, and basically gives you auto-explode, which is always fun. So I managed to take down a hive tyrant with that when I did that, which I enjoyed very much. Ancient Fury is my favourite stratagem I've seen so far in 10th edition. I don't know if it's that good, but it's hilarious. So in your command phase, you select a walker, so one of your dreadnoughts, and for the rest, until your next command phase, you get an extra inch to your move, you get an extra toughness, you get an extra save, you get an extra leadership, you get an extra objective control, and when you make attacks, either shooting or in combat, add 1 to the hit roll. So it is quite good. So yeah, you're going to be hitting on 2s in combat with an extra attack. You've got a bit better ability to get into combat because of that move or onto an objective, and your objective control goes up as well, and you get an extra save and toughness. So you're effectively got a 1-up save on that dreadnought. It can become very difficult to deal with. So I did that at least 2 turns, maybe 3 turns in a row, and yeah, and it was very useful and also very fun. So I'm a big fan of Ancient Fury. Then we've got Power of the Machine Spirit for 1 CP. I also used this, and it was very, very good. I do think it's a little bit situational. It's going to be difficult to get off every game, so maybe not one you're going to use every game, but having it in your back pocket for the times when you can is very, very good, as we'll get into here. It can sway a game. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has resolved their attacks, one Adeptus Astartes vehicle from your army that has been reduced to below half strength as a result of those attacks. So you can only do it once, just when you go below that half strength, unless you heal up with a tech ring, then you can do it again. Your unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but it must target the unit that it went into. So the reason I say it's a bit situational is I did it on the Gladiator Reaper, for example, and the thing that shot them happened to be infantry. It was Rowan Zoanthropes, which is perfect for a Gladiator Reaper to be going back into. But if what had shot into it was another tank, and that was what brought me below half strength, I probably wouldn't have used that stratagem, because it's not a priority target for that to be shooting at. It's just not how it's designed to work. Whereas if it had been a Gladiator Valiant and a tank had shot into me, I definitely would have used that back. But if it would have been some infantry that shot into me with a I might have. with zoanthropes. I probably would have, because I could have popped a couple of zoanthropes potentially. But it's a situational one. It's not one you're going to be able to use every game, but some games it will. If you can use it, it's probably a good one to be able to use. Yeah, so that's up there, and Ancient Fury for me is my two favourites in there. I do think Mercia's weakness can be very powerful as well. And yeah, Depth of the Omnisire, just keeping your vehicles alive. Very good. Very good there. Yeah, it's a strong one, Iron Storm Spearhead, I think, with all those access to all those rerolls as well. It's a good one. Okay, Firestorm Assault Force. This is the Salamander's theme. Close range eradication. Ranged weapons equipped by Adeptus Astartes models from your army have the assault ability, and each time an attack is made with such a weapon that targets unit within 12 inches, add 1 to the strength characteristic. Strength 5 flamers, and getting your eradicators up to strength 10 helps them a little bit with some of the tougher vehicles. Yep, that's solid. I don't think it's one of the best off the bat, but it's solid, and it definitely has a flavour, which I like a lot. Champion of Humanity. Tacticus model only. While the bear is leading a unit, models in that unit can ignore any and all modifiers to their characteristics and or to any roll or test made for them, excluding modifiers to saving throws. Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. Might be good in some matchups, but there's other times where I don't think that's going to do anything in a game, potentially. So yeah, not my favourite. War-Tempered Artifice. Adeptus Astartes infantry model only. Add 3 to the strength characteristic of the bear's melee weapons. Now you're talking. So if you're rocking a power sword, Mastercraft power weapon, that's going to get you that important strength 8, and put a Gravis captain with strength 11 power fist. That appeals to me. I don't know how useful that's going to be in game. It will be if he's going to be going up against vehicles and monsters a lot. Yeah, that's a fun one. I do like that. Forged in Battle. Adeptus Astartes model only. While the bear is leading a unit, once per turn after making a hit roll or saving throw for a model in the unit, you can change the result of that to a 6. It's okay. It's good on the saving throw, just to help keep you alive, I think. Hit roll or saving roll. Yeah, it's okay. I don't think that's amazing either. Adamantine Mantle. Adeptus Astartes model only. Each time an attack is allocated to the bear's unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. If the attack was made with a Melta or Torrent weapon, change the damage characteristic of that attack to 1 instead. Okay, that is very Salamanders. Do like that. Just on face value, I think these might be the 4 weakest of set of enhancements we've seen in the detachment so far, but I do like the bottom 2 for fun reasons, and that's what this game is all about. It's fun, so I would be tempted to take either of those, because yeah. Sorry, not Forged in Battle. War-Tempered Artifice and Adamantine Mantle. They seem fun to me. On to stratagems, we've got Armour of Contempt once again. Then we have Crucible of Battle. In your shooting phase or fight phase, one Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army that has been selected to shoot or fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model from your unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible target within 6 inches, add 1 to the wound roll. So you really need to be up there, situational, but you're going to be strength 5 on that probably because of the close ranged eradication, and then you're +1 to your wound roll. So good chance of wounding stuff on 2s with your flamers or whatever you've got, because everything is assault. Yeah, that's handy in a pinch. Again, a bit situational, but could be very good. Also, you can do it on your pistols. So wounding stuff with pistols on strength 2, on 2s, because they're probably going to be strength 5. Potential. Rapid Embarkation. One Adeptus Astartes transport unit from your army that has no models embarked within it, and one Adeptus Astartes infantry model that's wholly within 6 inches of the transport, that unit can embark within it. Okay, so at end of fight phase, You can't be within engagement range, but that could be good. Yeah, just because then in your next turn you can move and then disembark again, or disembark at the start of it on the other side of the vehicle, so you can potentially gain, well, depending on how big the vehicle is, you could almost gain 10 inches with that stratagem if you're wanting to really get across the board. Yeah, could be good. Again, situational, but could be good. Immolation protocols. In your shooting phase, one adept is a starter's unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, torrent weapons equipped by models in that unit have the devastating wounds ability. Okay, so just dishing out mortal wounds with your flamers for 2 CP. Yeah, that could be really worth it if you've got a unit of 6 eradicators, which are all d6 plus 1 shots. Yeah, if you're already going to be wounding on probably things on 4s with them, potentially 3s. Yeah, having devastating wounds in there as well, very nice. Onslaught of Fire. When your shooting phase, one adept is starter's unit from your army that disembarked from a transport this turn and has not been selected to shoot this phase. Till the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target within 12 inches, add 1 to the hit roll. If one or more enemy units are destroyed as a result of that attack, select one of those. You must take a battle shot test. Okay, so kind of similar to Crucible Battle, except you can be up to 12 inches. You don't get +1 to wound, you get +1 to hit instead. It's okay. Again, yeah, could be very nice in a pinch, hitting on 2s, but doesn't blow me away as a stratagem either. Burning Vengeance. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after the unit has resolved its attacks, one adept is starter's transport unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of those attacks. One unit embarked in that transport can disembark as if it were your movement phase and then shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but must target the unit that shot at the tank. That could be very good. Again, it's situational because it's banking on whatever shot at the tank, but you might want to use it anyway just for the extra movement, again, out of that tank. I don't know, if that's at the end of the shooting phase, you know nothing else is going to shoot at that unit. Situational again. Could be good. It's a tricky one. There's a few in here. I think Onslaught and Rapid Embarkation. They could, well, all of them. They could all be good, but there also might be games where several of them don't come up. It's a tricky one. Tricky one. The Fire Onslaught Assault Force. Yeah, I think it could be good, but it's a bit more situational with some of its warlord traits and stratagems. The +1 strength whenever you're within 12 is very good. It's a very aggressive style of play, which I do like. Yeah, that could be a good one. Stormlance Task Force. This is the White Scars theme. Lightning Assault. Adeptly starters models from your army that are eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they advanced or fell back. It's basically like having Tactical Doctrine on the whole time. And it's very good. Yeah, slightly different than Tactical. It's sort of like a merge between Tactical Doctrine and Assault Doctrine, but that's very good. You're just going to be so fast and so hard to pin down. So I like that right off the bat. As I say, slippery armies are I like to play, and I think are very good. So enhancements: Fury of the Storm, a mounted Adeptus Startes model. Improve the strength and armor penetration characteristics of the bearer's melee weapons by 1. Each time the bearer ends a charge until the end of the turn, improve the strength and armor penetration characteristics of that by 2 instead. So that's a little bit like the Gladius Task Force one we saw. Yeah, it could be good because it's a shame. I think Biker Captain is gone at the moment. So the only thing you can have this on is the Chaplain, who's probably 5 attacks. Yeah, he's 5 attacks. So he's going to go up to 7 on the charge. Oh no, sorry. No, it doesn't go up attacks. He's going to go up strength and armor penetration. So he's going to go up to strength 8 and AP 3 on the charge, which is good. But I just wish there was a biker captain, or if Can was on a bike that you could, someone else you could stick that on. So that is good, but you're tied to that one character for it. Portents of Wisdom. Adept is a starter's model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, you can reroll advance rolls made for that unit. Yeah, very good, because you're going to be advancing all the time, pretty much. Although you can't shoot if you advance, but could be good. Is it something I want to use an enhancement slot on? Probably not. Fainting Withdrawal. Adept is a starter's model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, each time is eligible to shoot in a turn at which it fell back. Yes, very good. Yeah, just means you don't get to do it when you advance, but you can advance first turn, get those bikes in, next turn, fall back, shoot, charge back in. Yeah, it's very solid. Or with anything, doesn't need to be a biker unit. Yeah, with anything. Very good. Hunter's Instincts, mounted model again only, so just on the, unless you're running Space Wolves, I suppose, because Space Wolves do have the Thunderwolf cavalry that they could have these on, but mostly it's just, if you're running regular Space Marines, it's just the biker, so the Chaplain biker. If the bearer's unit is in the strategic reserves for the purposes of setting up that unit on the battlefield, treat the current battle round as being 1 higher than it usually is. Yeah, quite good, just to really put the pressure on your opponent. They're going to get there fast, and they can potentially hit quite hard and fall back and hit again, so that one's okay. I think Feigned Withdrawal is the pick for me, being able to fall back and shoot, because biker shooting it's not too bad. So I think that's the one for me, the pick there. Arm of Contempt. Yes, we've seen that before. Blitzing Fusillade. In your shooting phase, one Adepti starts a unit from your army that is not selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Assault ability. If such a weapon already has this ability, until the end of the phase, that weapon has the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Okay, that's true, yeah. So a lot of your stuff is already going to have Assault on it for the purposes of shooting, like your regular Intercessor Bolters, for example. So this is going to give them Assault if they don't, and if they already had Assault, you got Sustained Hits 1. It's okay. Full Throttle. In your movement phase, a mounted unit or a vehicle, excluding walkers, until the end of the phase, if your unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, add 6 inches to the move characteristic of the models in that unit, or 9 instead if the unit is mounted. It's 2 CP. So it is expensive, but that makes your bikes fast. And then they can charge after that. What's the bike's move? It's probably 12. Where are we? Yeah, 12 inches. You got a 21 inch move. You're not going to have 2 CP first turn, so can't do it first turn, but it's good for end game, I suppose, as well. You can just shoot off across the board, claim an objective if it's going to be out of range of your regular move, or use it to get a charge off. Yeah, very good if you've got the 2 CP for it. In your charge phase, one Adept starts mounted unit from your army that has not declared a charge this phase. Till the end of the turn, you can re-roll charge rolls made for that unit, and melee weapons equipped by models on your unit have the Lance ability. Yeah. Yep. That feels thematic and it feels good. Yeah. Reroll charge rolls and Lance. Yeah. That's going to make a biker squad really hit hard for 1 CP. That's probably one that you are using first turn just to get a charge off with a squad that's probably got your chaplain on bike in it. Get them into combat, make them hit as hard as they can. Yep, that's good. And yeah, if you've got the Fury of the Storm on the chaplain as well, who's going to be up to strength 8, and he's now got Lance, he's going to be wounding a lot of vehicles on On 4s, he's going to be winning some of them. On 3s, he's going to be winning pretty much all infantry. On 2s, so yeah, that's good. Ride hard, ride fast. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after the menu unit has selected its targets, one adepted starter's mounted unit or a vehicle with fly from your army that was selected as those attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll and subtract 1 from the wound roll. Okay, so it's kind of like dust clouds coming up. -1 to the hit roll and wound roll is very good. That's a pick of the litter for me so far, just because you're already toughness 5 on your bikes. Yeah, so like regular fire is then going to be winding them on 6s, and even like a melta-gun is only going to be winding them on 4s with -1 to the AP, so you're going to be getting a save. Yeah, that's very good for 1 CP. Ride hard, ride fast. Win swift evasion. In your opponent's movement phase, just after a memory unit ends its move, advance or fall back, one adept starter model can move, unit can move, that is within 9 inches, can make a move up to 6 inches. Yeah, I really like Stormlance Task Force. Makes you, there's nothing in it that makes you hit incredibly hard, some stuff that helps, but you're just going to be very hard for your opponent to hit back at you in the way they want to as well. There's a lot of tricks there, a lot of tricks. You're going to want the chaplain on bike. He's an auto include unless a spaceman captain on bike comes out again, and then he'll be in there, or maybe both, depending on how many bikes you want to run. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the importance of wisdom is potentially the stratagem, or Fury of the Storm. Fainted Withdrawal or Fury of the Storm, probably the 2 enhancements that stand out the most to me. And I think all the stratagems are good. Blistering Fusillade is maybe the weakest on hindsight, but yeah, all the ones that affect your bikes and getting to move an extra 6 inches away with a bike in your opponent's movement phase. Yeah, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Like that a lot. Vanguard Spearhead. So I ran this one with my Space Wolves because, well, we'll get to it in a minute why but I think it's solid. So Vanguard Spearhead. Shadow Masters. Each time a ranged attack targets an Adeptus Starter's unit from your army, unless that the attacker model is within 12 inches, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and the target gets the benefit of cover. So you're essentially getting +1 to your save. If it's got an AP, because Space Marines can't be more than 3+, or anything can't be more than 3+. That's good off the bat. Makes you hard to deal with in shooting if you want to run a combat list, or you want to run a shooting list. That means your opponent's going to be less effective hitting back at you as you hit at them. Personally, I don't think that's what the theme of this should be. I think it should be for stuff coming in and hitting your foe at close quarters. But if you did want to run it as a shooty list, I think it could be good run that way as well. The Blade Driven Deep, so this is the enhancement I went for, which gives the bearer and the unit there in the Infiltrator's ability. So I wanted to run a unit of 15 Blood Claws with Infiltrators, and that's exactly what I did. So I do think that is a very, very good enhancement. You can imagine that on a unit of 10 of the new jump pack intercessors. You don't even need to have them that close because of their extra move, but if you've just got them 6 inches out of your deployment zone, you know they're going to get that first turn charge off pretty much. They're going to move 12 inches, then they've got the charge. It's an 18-inch threat range plus charge move on top of that. Hide them behind the building in case you don't get first turn. Yeah, that's very good on something like that, and it was good on my Blood Claws as well. I do think that stratagem is, that enhancement is very good. Ghostweave Cloak, the bearer as the stealth and lone operative ability. So I do want to run this as Space Wolves as well, with like a Space Wolf captain, sort of the old school lone wolf kind of thing, just have him running around trying to find the biggest monster on the battlefield and hit it with a Thunder Hammer, or not a Thunder Hammer anymore, Power Fist. Yeah, I think that's a fun one, not necessarily great, but I do think that could be very fun. It could be annoying as well, just having sort of a character running off that isn't a huge threat, just a cheap character going around doing things on objectives. Potentially very good there. Execute and redeploy. So Phobos model only. In your shooting phase, after the bearer's unit has shot, if that unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches. If it does, until the end of the turn, that unit is not eligible to declare a charge, and it cannot allow the bearer's unit to move more than once in your shooting phase. Yeah, that could be annoying again, or just help you get onto objectives. It's basically that old towel thing. You come out, you shoot, you jump back. Don't know what units Phobos characters can join to really make that really effective, but there might be something. Shadow War Veteran, again Phobos model only. Once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the battle, that stratagem costs an extra CP. Yep, an annoying one. Those rules are always very annoying and really handicap your opponent. Right off the bat, I think there's two very good enhancements in there. There's a very fun one which could be good, it could be quite gamey as well. And the execute and redeploy, again, could be quite annoying and useful too. So I think all of them have a place. A deadly prize, this is a stratagem I didn't end up using. At the start of your command phase, one Adeptus Stars infantry or mounted model from your army that was in range of an objective marker you control. That objective marker is said to be sabotaged and remains under your control even if you have no models in range of it. Very useful ability just off the bat there. Until your opponent controls it at the start or the end of any turn, while an objective marker is sabotaged and under your control, each time an enemy unit makes a normal move, advance roll, fall back, or charge within range of it, the objective marker roll d6 on a 2+ the enemy unit, so d3 mortal wounds. So you can still stay camped on that objective and your opponent's going to come at you, and each time they remain on that objective, they're going to get mortal wounds, or you can just leave it. It's under your control, and if your opponent does want to come in and take it back, they're going to get hit as a consequence of that. So it is very useful, that. Armor of Contempt, again, we've seen. Surgical Strikes, I did use this one, it didn't pay off, but it is very useful. 2 CP is a lot, so I wanted to use it earlier in game, I just didn't have the resources to do it. But it gives you precision in combat, so really good for taking out a character that's a big unit enhancement, big buffing character. So I tried doing that, it wasn't successful just because I only had 2 models left when I did it, but I do think that is very good. Strike from the Shadows. When your shooting phase, one Adeptus Stars infantry model from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit that is more than 12 inches away, improve the ballistic skill and armor penetration of that attack by 1. If one or more enemy units were destroyed, they have to take a battle shot test. Potentially very good. Again, I was running Space Wolves, so I didn't have a unit that would really get the most out of, but that could be very, very good in a pinch. Calculated Feint. In your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy unit has declared a charge, one Adeptus Stars infantry model from your army that was selected as a target of a charge. That unit can make a d6 move, or if it's Phobos or Scout, it can make a 6-inch move. That I did use on my infantry in Bloodclaws because I didn't get first turn, so Rowan was able to get a first turn charge off of me, but then I moved 6 inches away because I happened to roll a 6 for it, and he couldn't get into charge range anymore. So that was very, very good for 1 CP. That can save your skin. Really, really good stratagem. And lastly, Guerrilla Tactics. Didn't use, but you can select up to 2 Phobos and or Scout units from your army, or 1 just Adeptus Stars infantry unit. Remove it from the battlefield, place it into strategic reserves. You have to be 3 inches away from your opponent to do so, but that is very, very powerful as well. Do like Vanguard Spearhead, it's got a lot of tricks, similarly to the Stormlance Task Force. It's hard to pin down, and it's also got some really fun stuff that you can do with it as well. So I do rate the Vanguard Spearhead. yeah, especially if you're running a lot of Phobos and Scout stuff, which I wasn't, but you can really get the most out of something like Guerrilla Tactics when you can take 2 units off the board and just bring them back anywhere next turn. Very good. Lastly, we have the First Company Task Force. So this is where Awesome Moment, the full-scale version of it, I guess you'd call it, lives. So once per battle in your command phase, you can use this ability. If you do so until the start of your next command phase, each time a model from your army with the Awesome Moment ability makes an attack that targets your Awesome Momented target, you can reroll the wound roll as well. So that gets you your reroll hits and wound rolls. Only once per battle now, but still very, very good. Enhancements, we have the Imperium Sword. So Adeptus Starters model only. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the bear's melee weapons. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, the bear can use this enhancement. If it does, till the end of the phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in the bear's unit as well. Yeah, perfect on Terminators and Blade Guard. That's what it's made for, Terminator Captain or a Captain with sword and board in a unit of Blade Guard. Yeah, very, very good. Just really makes that unit hit a lot. Fear Made Manifest is an aura, Adeptus Starters model only. While an enemy unit, excluding monsters, vehicles within 6 inches of the bear, each time that unit fails a battle shot test, one model from that unit one model that unit is destroyed, chosen by the controlling player. Once per battle, when such an enemy unit fails a battle shot test, you can choose for D3 models from that unit to be destroyed in this way instead. Yep, that's a fun one. It's a mouthful, but yeah, when your enemy unit fails a battle shot test within 6 inches of him, rather than suffering the effects of the failed battle shock, you just dish out D3 mortal wounds instead. Yeah, it's good. Rites of War, an old classic. You have to be in Terminator armor. Improve the objective control characteristic of the bearer by 1. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 1 to the objective control characteristic of all models in the bearer's unit as well. Yeah, so similar to the Imperium Sword, you've got that once per battle extra boost up ability that just means you're really going to be hard to shift off of that objective marker. Useful one there. It's not the sort of one I usually go for, but it is very useful. Iron Resolve, again, just for a model in Terminator arm. The bearer has Feel No Pain 5+, and once per battle after the bearer's unit is selected as a target of 1 or more attacks, the bearer can activate this enhancement. If it does so, models in that unit have a Feel No Pain 5+. Okay, so this detachment is very much feeling you've got that one big round where you go for the big play and cripple your opponent, because you've got the super awesome moment, and then 3 of your enhancements all have a super boost once per round, once per battle. Then you got Armor of Content once again, Heroes of the Chapter. So it's very specific who this can be put on. It's in your shooting phase or fight phase, and it's just for Terminators, Blade Guard, Stern Guard, or Vanguard, so all your veterans. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If your unit is below half strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. Very, very good. Yes, especially if if you've got Awesome Moment on that turn as well, you're just not going to miss with anything really. Yeah, +1 to the wound roll, very, very good on something like Blade Guard with all those power swords, damage 2, or Terminators if you're going up against a big monster. Yeah, very strong that. Once again, this is in your fight phase, and it's for those veteran units again. In your opponent's next command phase, each enemy unit within 6 inches of the unit must take a battle shot test. If the unit taking the test is below half strength, subtract 1 from the test. Enemy units affected by this stratagem do not need to take any other battle shot tests in the same phase. It's okay. If you really want to claim an objective or stop stratagems going on to a unit that might keep your guys alive or stop you being at your most efficient, it can be good for that. It helps you punch through targets. duty and honour. In your movement phase, again, it's linked to capped to those veteran units. You can move off an objective marker basically, so which is very good because you're likely going to be having quite a small elite force if you're running the first company task force. So being able to move off objectives and still engage with your opponent, very good. That's probably one you're going to use almost every game, I think. That and Heroes of the Chapter, both very good off the bat so far. Orbital Teleportarium. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, remove a unit from the battlefield and put it into that unit gets put into strategic reserves. It will arrive back on the battlefield and reinforcement step of your next movement phase using the Deep Strike ability. Restrictions: you cannot select a unit with an engagement range, but very good. So if you've come onto the board over the course of, at the end of your opponent's combat phase, say your Terminators, they've wiped out what they're in combat with, but they're now in the open, get them back up. They come down somewhere else on the battlefield at the end of your next movement phase, ready to go again. Very, very good. Or you can drop them down onto the objective marker. Very good, that. Yeah, good stratagems here. Legendary Fortitude. In your opponent's charge phase, just after the enemy unit declares a charge. Again, it's linked to those just elite units. Until the end of the turn, each time an attack is allocated to a model in your unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic. Yeah. Very, very good for keeping things like Blade Guard and Terminators alive. Yeah, all those stratagems are very good. There's a place for them in every game, and you might need them because you're going to have a smaller elite force, so you might really need to rely on these stratagems to keep stuff alive. But I could see this really working. You can really see, yeah, if you're running Terminators, Blade Guard, Stern Guard, yeah, you're going to get, there's nothing else, only the Arm of Contempt is the only stratagem you can use on anything other than these units. But yeah, if you're really going all in and I'm going to run the elite stuff, this could be very, very good. And that's everything. Then we have a couple more examples of armies in here, and then we got the data sheets. Not going to tackle the data sheets today, but if you do want to see us go through those, leave a comment below this if you've enjoyed this video, and we will tackle those very soon. Lastly, I've just got one slightly negative thing to talk about, and that is about money, which is, it's £35 for the Codex. As I say, I think it's a good Codex, and if that was all I needed, that'd be okay. But most people that play now probably want the cards as well because they're handy to be able to flick through in game. Those are £25, £60. And then if you want to use the app to make your army lists, you got to subscribe to that as well if you want to have more than one army or more than one army list of the same faction. And I've been in this hobby for, yeah, 25 plus years. And if I want to get somebody else into the hobby, or sort of convince them that this is a good way to spend your time, which I think it is, because it helps you hang out with friends, you can set yourself little goals, you got painting challenges, you can see yourself improving, it's creative. I think it's great, but asking somebody to drop £60 just to get their army's rulebooks is a big ask. So let me know what you guys think about that. Would you like to see the data cards have come with the rules as well, with the little sort of code at the back, so you could still use the app as well and not just have to get the Codex and the cards? Or maybe you think it's okay, let us know. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this. Let us know how you like to run your Space Marines, and we'll see you again soon on the Brothers Grimdark.